Hello and welcome to the special edition of Three Blokes in the Pub. And we're in a pub in Liverpool today with Mitch Benn.
Hello.
Off the telly.
Well,
He plays the guitar.
almost entirely off the telly, yes. The only thing I can get on is like the celebrity versions of various quiz shows. And sooner or later they're going to figure out I'm not a celebrity.
Are you on the Remainer list? Like, there's a list of people who aren't allowed to be...
So I'm told that, that basically they're just... Because, I don't know, I mean, as people know, I've been banging the drum for the BBC for a long time. I've been one of its
staunchest... You wrote a song about the BBC.
But yeah, I mean...
it's more than I'll do, because they screwed me over, but that's another story.
How did they screw you over? Do tell.
I made a TV show for them called Graham's World. Right. I'm Graham, yeah, and they never paid me for it. Only a year of me life, in some of the most dangerous countries in the world.
How did they not pay you for it?
I was on a percentage deal. All right. It turns out 25% of nothing is nothing.
Interesting.
Which is something that people should know about growth rates when they go, the growth rate in Bhutan is 11%. And I'm like, it's 11% of nothing.
Is nothing. Well,
that's an important life lesson. Cruel, harsh, but
it is big, because this rumour's going around that basically there's a blacklist. Yeah, that you just literally cannot get on the Beeb as any kind of talking head up under anymore if you are insufficiently pro-Brexit.
Yes.
I mean, it is really weird the way... I mean, but this is something I find, because this is, the anti-Brexit movement, and I'm going to say at a grassroots level is one of the biggest things this country's ever witnessed. Certainly since the anti-war movement before Iraq, and it's of comparable size to that. And much as there was almost, an official policy taken by, the big TV news media to completely pretend that wasn't happening. Yeah. In 2003, there's been this almost active thing to try and pretend it isn't happening. And I'm not entirely sure. I think the BBC's just shit-feared of getting their charter revoked.
But they've always done this. Like in the first Iraq War, they stopped songs being played on the radio that were anti-war. Yeah. I think famously, like Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine, got Blood Sports for All not allowed on the radio when they released it. It completely destroyed them as a band because of the Iraq War. Yeah. Sorry, can I just also introduce Steve Gavin from Liverpool for Europe and also Veterans for Europe as well, who's going to be here chatting away with us.
Another happy Scouser.
Yes.
So, we're three Scousers in the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the chances?
About 50-50, I would have said.
Yeah,
in pretty much any bar in the world, the chances that there's going to be three guys in there from Liverpool could only possibly be higher if you're talking about recording studios.
Years ago, I went to the highest bar in Africa, or the highest pub in Africa, which is on the Sani Pass when you go from South Africa into Lesotho. Right. And it's an Irish pub, and it's run by a Scouser.
Of course it is.
Of course.
Bar staff Australian?
I was in Berlin last week.
Yeah.
I went up to the bar and I did my best Habenseer ein Riesling bitter. And the guy went, "Where are you from?"
Where are you from?
Where are you from, mate?
Understanding. All right, so we don't want to just sit here slagging off the BBC, although I've had.
Curious.
I don't know about you, Steve, but I've had a lot of people contacting me about other stuff, like researchers and stuff and junior journalists, and then a few days later I'll get another email going, "Oh, sorry, we can't let you on."
Well, I mean, I got
no explanation.
I got kicked off the Now Show just as the referendum happened. Yeah. Now, I never read anything into that at the time, and I'm fairly sure it didn't because it was actually before the referendum. The decision seems to be made at some level of the BBC that after the referendum, you were not allowed to question it. That this is it. Now it's a done deal.
You mean the will of the people?
Yeah, the will of the people. That's something that you were not allowed to express any.
Russian
that you were not allowed to express. Well, even before you take into account all the pre-vote shenanigans. I think your mum's just rocked up with a guitar.
Oh, hello. Got a guitar. Hello. Hi, Mum.
Hello. I've got one with me in Liverpool, but I didn't have time. It's at my mum's. My guitar is at my mum's place, and I didn't have a chance to go and get it. I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
I'll give a shout later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Let's have it in the shot.
She's the best. There you go. You're going to have to spend about half an hour tuning that up.
I may have to, but anyway. Yes.
Anyway, Liverpool. So, obviously, I'm 40 next week. Yeah. You're in your 50s now, aren't you? It doesn't look it. Yeah. And you're...
I just turned 49.
49.
So I'm nudging my 50s.
Yeah. Child.
Not really kidding anybody on 40 anything anymore.
All of us remember Liverpool in the 80s.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about this for a little bit?
It was terrifying. It was horrifying. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, one of the things. I mean, Liverpool now is completely unrecognisable from when I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, completely unrecognisable. I mean, actually, physically unrecognisable. I mean, the first time I went to Liverpool won. I was so disoriented that all I had to do was go to the edge of it and stand with my back to it and look at the bit of Liverpool that was already there when I was a kid and try and work out where it was. It's Paradise Street bus depot.
Yeah,
that's what this used to be.
That used to stink of piss and concrete.
Exactly. It's completely unrecognizable. And I'll tell you, the main thing that you notice when you come to Liverpool now is that you hear something that you did not hear back in the 70s and 80s, which is accents other than Scouse.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Liverpool, it was hemorrhaging people. You know, the population was dropping like 4 or 5% a year.
We were nearly hitting 1 million people in the 1960s.
Yeah.
It's currently the population of Liverpool is 435,000.
But it went down about 250,000, didn't it? Yeah. Because well, the thing is, I left in 1988. Because I wanted to go away to university, and I think I think it's a good idea to go away to university if it's all possible. It's a good time to leave home, and I wanted to go a decent distance, so I wasn't going to be
actually stay friends with your parents.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally, I think you do. I think it's so much. It's so much easier. No, you're absolutely right. You do. You become the bloody golden boy, don't you? You become like our prince who's gone off to seek his fortune, rather than that bastard who won't get off the bloody sofa. You know what I mean? I think literally that.
I'm glad you said this. Brought me mum.
No. I think that's it's a very good time to leave home. Is if you're going to university, that's a good time to not cut the apron strings, but certainly slacken them off by a couple 100 miles. Yeah. And if it's because I went to Edinburgh, A, because I love the place, and B, because I wanted to be a sufficient distance away that I wasn't going to be rocking up every Friday night with a bag of laundry.
Yeah.
And
you rock a kilt.
And I absolutely rock a kilt, but that's an entirely by heck do I rock a kilt, but that's an entirely separate issue. But the fact is, when I was growing up in Liverpool in the 80s, it was a place you left.
Yeah.
If you had any kind of ambition or spark or any kind of desire to do anything, it was a place you got out of at the first possible opportunity. And people are moving in.
Now people are moving in.
People are moving
because
in.
of the opportunities that are being raised by, like, the Baltic Triangle, which is this amazing arts centre in Liverpool where you've got all these startups and people making their own way in the world.
Liverpool now, when I come back, and I come back quite a bit because my dad died about 2.5 years ago, so I like to come back whenever possible just to check in on my mum and everything. So I mean, I'm making a point. I mean, I'm not here for work now, mate, because it's half term, so I'm here with the kids so they can stay at Granny's house, But I also do gigs, and it's finally got a decent comedy venue in Hot Water, which is, it didn't have for a long time, didn't have a really good comedy venue, and now it's got a really good one. So I'm back,
the Royal Court turned into a comedy venue for about 2 weeks.
They tried it.
Yeah, it didn't work.
One of the things
is too big. It was just too big and too.
It is too big. It's
Slaughterhouse across the road.
Slaughterhouse is great, but if anything, it's probably slightly not big enough. I
saw Paul Sinner doing a stand-up there.
Well, I know
before he went on the Chase.
Yeah,
he was a stand-up comedian.
I've known Paul for years. And I'm getting into the whole quizzing thing because me and my mates put an Only Connect team together. We're trying to get on that, and I did Celebrity Mastermind, and I did Eggheads, and I beat Kevin Ashman on Eggheads, and it was only afterwards when I talked about this with Paul Sinner. He's like, he's like the quiz champion of all time, and it's like, but he doesn't know his rock lyrics, but
I think you'll find that anyone who's really good at sort of trivia have their Achilles heel. They have the one thing they know all about.
Sports, anything other than Liverpool Football Club. Because again, Liverpool Football Club grew up in the 70s and 80s. I remember having this conversation with my ex-wife once where she was like, why do people have this slavish loyalty to their hometown team? Why? Because it was inside the 90s and 90s when
you support Liverpool.
But the thing is, this thing is the 90s and 90s when you had all these sort of latecomers who were just sort of adopting football as this weird bit of class tourism and all supporting United because they were the team in the ascendant at the time, despite the fact they never paid any attention to football at all. And she was like, well, why shouldn't people? Why shouldn't people select a team on its merits? Why have you got this slavish adherence to it? I said, I can't help you, love. I grew up in Liverpool in the 70s. My hometown team were the best team in Europe the whole of my childhood. What was I going to do?
Well, them and Ipswich.
But
my brother supports Ipswich. No word of a lie.
Somebody's got it.
Ipswich.
Somebody's got it.
Because they did really well in the 70s.
They did. Well,
has he ever been there?
No, I don't think.
It's in fairness, it's not an easy place to get to and from. That whole kind of Anglia thing,
that's
just
some
like
kind
you
of
run on a
commitment,
road
though.
with about 100 miles left to go.
When they're playing like Preston North End, he'll go and watch a match.
But the point is, when you come back to Liverpool on a weekend is jumping like no other city in the UK, with the possible exception of Cardiff, right?
Yeah.
Cardiff is the only other town I've ever been to that is jumping like Liverpool on a weekend evening. That place is heaving, and Well, they actually spoke in terms of managed the decline.
They did.
Of Liverpool. Sort of 82,
they wanted to manage decline.
Then basically this place was meant to be a shell by now. This place was meant to be a ghost town.
Well, Steve, you work down at the docks, don't you?
Yeah, I'm the civil engineer for Port Liverpool.
Well done.
So I work on assets that are 1822 just completed last year.
Yeah.
£500 million worth of private investment there in the past. Well, actually, it was signed up before the referendum.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're a westward-facing port.
Yeah.
So strangely enough, we locally may do all right as a port, but the surrounding areas, Jaguar Land Rover is going to disappear.
What we heard today about Honda.
We heard today Honda getting out of Swindon, and Nissan are getting out of Sunderland.
I've never seen two Tory MPs say it faster that got nothing to do with Brexit.
It's just like, don't insult our fucking intelligence. I mean, this is the thing, like,
Hasn't Brexit been just an insult to our intelligence the whole
the whole thing's been an insult to our intelligence. I mean, all of this is happening for reasons other than that which it is being presented to us. It's happening, I mean, that's what somebody said on Twitter today, I forget who, just like, if you think that 7 Labour MPs resigning the whip is not going to change anything, all this is happening because 2 Tory MPs defected to UKIP in 2014.
Yeah.
All of this is happening because Reckless and Carswell defected to UKIP. Because this is why all of this is happening, because Cameron shat a brick, because fringe right-wing parties always do a bit all right in the less important elections, or what I regard as less important elections, like the Europeans, like the local councils. There is, shall we say, a xeno-skeptical rump of the British population. Yeah. They don't actually hate foreigners, but they're not comfortable about foreign stuff, shall we say. And that is, I would say that is a rump of the population that varies. It's getting smaller as they die off, but it's still
It is an older generation
It's
thing,
still about
though.
15 to 20%. Yeah,
I get loads of
my
accusations
mum
of
would be at
ageism,
pains
but
to point out that she's a staunch Remainer and all her mates,
so
and
is
she's
my mum.
78. Yeah, exactly. But then we're in Liverpool. But anyway, but the point is, it is dwindling, but it's something which the Conservative Party has come to depend on in electoral terms, is that xeno-sceptical rump that will occasionally, at the European elections or the council elections, have a bit of a, get a bit of touch of the vapors and go off and vote for, it was the BNP in the noughties, or it was the NF in the 70s, or it was, UKIP just recently, But by and large, they could generally be depended upon to behave themselves and come back to the Tories for the general election, because at the end of the day, that's what Conservative means. Right? Yeah. Now, for the first time ever in 2014, 2015, it looked like UKIP was actually going to take them away at the general. So Cameron shits a brick, and he says, fine, have your bloody referendum, thinking, I am absolutely certain of this, thinking that we're in for another coalition, and after the election he could basically drop it and blame the Liberals. Yeah. But lo and behold, the Liberals had not been forgiven by their base for the coalition, and this is the thing, they still haven't been forgiven, because what everybody forgets is that by 2010, Nick Clegg's Liberal Democrats were actually substantially to the left of Gordon Brown's Labour Party in a lot of the big issues. Yeah. So the one thing nobody did in 2010 was go into a booth, vote Liberal, and
hoping
that'll get the Tories
in, exactly.
And then lo and behold, you discover that you've actually personally contributed to getting the Tories in.
But this is my problem with Labour. I was a Labour member until 2017. I left the moment that they said it was a three-line whip for the activation of Article 50, because I was like, sorry, I did not vote for the Conservative Party. Yeah. I did not vote for their policies. Yeah. There was no point in making that three-line whip. Yeah. They could have voted against it, and it would have gone through anyway.
Yeah. But the trouble is, and I'm going to say this because nobody ever says this, Jeremy Corbyn lies. His whole appeal is based on the idea that he doesn't. He does. He's a politician, and he tells lies to suit his purpose. Now, you might happen to think that his purpose is more noble than everybody else's, but he's a politician, and he tells you what he thinks you want to hear, because that's what politicians do. And I do not believe for a minute that Jeremy Corbyn voted Remain. No. People keep coming and say, well, at what point do you think he changed his mind? I don't think he changed his mind. I think he's been lying to you for the past 3 years because he voted Leave.
If you look on his
everything
voting,
he's ever said
in Parliament, on referendums, on the EU, he's always either voted against it or abstained. He's never voted for the EU.
When what somebody says conflicts with what somebody does, you believe what they do.
Yeah.
And everything Jeremy Corbyn has ever done has been anti-EU. Everything he's ever done has been anti-EU. He belongs to the Tony Benn era of it, and this is, the tragedy of it all. But I understand the appeal. Because British politics has gotten terribly homogenous, terribly matey, terribly samey, terribly collegiate, terribly
So you're saying basically what we need is a leader who's white, old, went to public school, is really rich, and from London.
Well, there you go.
A politician.
Hang on.
And grew up in a stately home.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, let's get someone not like... Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
That's Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, of course it is. But the thing is, he doesn't look like that. He looks
like a friendly granddad.
He looks and sounds like a socialist.
I think he looks like the bit, in Lord of the Rings where Bilbo goes, "Give it to me," about the ring. That moment, that's what he looks like to me. I'm just like, "Give it to me."
He looks like a socialist. And that's the thing. And for a long time, properly socialist people in this country...
Socialists look like Gollum. I quite like socialists.
No, but the point is... No, but he looks like a socialist, is the thing. I mean, and the thing is...
Right,
the Labour Party kind of needs a bit of that. That's why Blair knew that he had to have Prescott in as number 2. Because Prescott looked and sounded like a shop steward. Yeah. And Blair looked and sounded like an ad man. So we need somebody in at number 2 who looks and sounds like an old school shop steward, so they can still be the Labour Party and not just this slick PR movement, right? Now, the thing about Corbyn is he looks and sounds like a socialist. I understand the appeal, because for a long time there was nobody the properly socialist-leaning people in this country could vote for without at least gently pinching their nose, you know what I mean? It had all gotten very, these more or less interchangeable parties with more or less interchangeable policies led by different versions of the same bloke.
They stand up and they say, the NHS, education. They don't really say
Exactly. So along comes this guy with his fucking Bob Dylan hat, you know what I mean? And people go, oh, proper social. But what we needed was somebody actually forward-looking to take progressive thought into the 21st century, and what we got was the last of the 80s lefties.
Yeah.
He's the last he's the last surviving 80s lefty.
Like militants.
And the thing is,
can we talk about that?
He's still, that's what he is. He's still fighting the momentum now. Yeah, the momentum, but it's rebranded. But the point is, he's still fighting the 1983 elections.
Same horse, different jockey.
He's still fighting the 1983 election.
But let's talk about what happened in the 80s then, because this is relevant to Liverpool. You got Michael Foot as the leader of the Labour Party at the time, who then gave what they call the longest suicide note in history, which was the 1983
Michael Foot was
manifesto.
Michael Foot, I think, was a benign but utterly oblivious left-wing intellectual.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure I credit Corbyn with the same level of benevolence.
Or intelligence?
Maybe even not. But
what did he get? 2 E's at A level?
Who the hell knows? I'm not going to
my parents paid for my education, and I only got 3 E's at A level.
My parents did not pay for my education, and I got 3 A's and a B. Anyway,
I got 2 A's and a B, but
I left school at 16 with Nish.
That's the spirit, my friend.
There you go.
There you go. There's our salt of the
intellectual elite.
Right there.
He's the metropolitan elite right here, working at the docks.
Absolutely working at the docks.
Leaving school at 16. Metropolitan elite.
But the thing is now, because, that's the point I've been trying to make, is that, I'm from Liverpool, and I'm from Liverpool in the 80s, and I've seen the hard left in power up close, and most people in this country haven't. Most people in this country don't know what it looks like when the hard left actually going to go on the wheel. Actually. It's fucking terrifying. Yeah. Particularly if, for whatever reason, you find you've ended up on their enemies list.
Yeah. I did that really quickly.
Yeah. You ended up on their enemies list.
Well, I did this thing where I stood against my Labour MP here in Liverpool, because he was one of the 4 Labour MPs in Liverpool who actually voted with the Tories for the activation of Article 50. Yeah. Plus he's from London, so I'm like, what are you even doing here? Yeah. So I stood against him. I only got like 200 votes. It was like me and my mum and some friends.
Is this like a primary within the Labour Party? Almost?
No, this was in the general election.
What party were you with?
Yeah, in 2017.
What party were you with?
Independents. No one would have me, I swear too much. Have you seen me on Twitter? Anyways.
Call Chucker.
Yeah.
He's recruiting.
Hi, I heard you recruiting. But no, I stood against them for this very reason, that I don't want to have a Labour MP who's voting with the Conservatives. I think that is just like everything that
they don't see it as voting with the Conservatives, they see it as voting with Jeremy. You know what I mean?
That's with the Conservatives.
Yeah, I know.
Votes with them.
That's not the point. It's with Jeremy. But the thing is, we've seen what it's like We saw what it's like when the militant tendency got in.
Yeah.
And it was this weird mixture of Stalinism and corruption.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, when you have, because Liverpool was economically, and because Thatcher actually went out to basically punish the working class for fucking up Ted Heath.
Yeah.
And, I'll say that right now, there was an agenda there to punish the working class
and that's
for
the
embarrassing
North.
Ted Heath.
That's the North.
Yeah, that's the North.
She wants to take out the North.
And that was a deliberate agenda on Thatcher's part. It was like, right,
and Wales.
You pleb scum, fucked up the last, embarrassed the last Tory government and brought it down. That's never happening again on my watch. So the first thing we're going to do is deliberately destroy the manufacturing and industry base. So that totally disempowers the trade unions because the trade unions have got nothing to do.
They were massively canny about it, bringing in being able to buy your own council house. That's a wonderful way of making sure no one goes on strike.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got a mortgage, you're not paying rent. You've got a mortgage,
and
you're not going to work for 3 months.
Exactly.
Forget it.
Exactly.
So it's also a great way of taking the power out of the hands of local councils as well, because they're no longer your landlord.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another detachment.
But then Labour didn't help with this, bringing in tuition fees, because now students aren't going to go and demonstrate because they can't, because they're spending. They're going to leave with £50,000 worth of debt hanging over their heads like a sword of Damocles. And so, I've got to do this. I've got to make this, landscape architecture degree really worth it.
But the point is, when you have a right-wing government that basically declares war on the North to the extent that the initial Thatcher government did. That's going to force the North to the left. And because we had Liberal councils in Liverpool for the whole of the 70s.
97.
Previous to that, we had Liberal councils.
Old Liberal before it merged with the SNP.
Exactly. We had Liberal councils because the Liberals, bless them, are actually pretty good at local government because they're not hung up on Weltpolitik the way that, they just empty your fucking bins. They just fix your street lights.
Do the job.
They just repair the bloody pavement. They're not all about the overthrow of global fucking capitalism. You know what I mean? They don't see that, being put in charge of the drains as being the first blow to overthrow the fucking bourgeoisie, you know what I mean? So Liberals are actually pretty good at being local councils, but, the Thatcher government forces the North to the left, so you get this Labour government in. But then it's almost like, a really extreme example. This is something we might talk about, the curse of the safe seat. I mean, this is something we really need to look at. Because the levels of incompetence in this government right now are just alarming, and it's like we've got to look at electoral reform because this is the curse of the safe seat.
Yeah,
you've ended up with there's one of my
Chris Grayling.
Oh Jesus Christ,
failing Grayling.
Oh, the man,
how does he still have a job?
You can keep him busy, just stick him in a barrel and tell him to piss in the corner. You know what I mean? It's like
but there was an article this week. It said wasn't picked for his intellectualism. He was picked for his loyalty because he's just completely loyal.
But he's not a fucking dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what you do with a
may
dog.
As well be.
Yeah.
May as well be.
But no, I mean, my punchline, when I might actually do the songs, I won't say what a punchline is, but is an early example of the curse of the safe seat. You had such sort of, this seat was shoved so far to the left that you get, on the one hand, some actual sort of hardcore, well, I would say Trotsky, but they thought they were Trotsky, but they weren't. They were Stalinists, politicians taking over the council. And then in the meantime, not naming any names, but you get these absolute bloody shysters who just go coasting on the back of it.
Derek Hatton.
You named the name. You just get these total shysters.
Derek Hatton.
Yeah. Cruising in on the back of it and just carving out little personal empires for themselves.
Liverpool was unique. It was like getting attacked on two fronts, wasn't it? Because you had the Westminster government of Thatcher attacking them, saying, we managed to climb, let them fail. And then you had the militant tendency in Labour in the council, who were also like, let's make as much money as we can while we're in charge.
That was the shysters. But on the other hand, you also had the ideologues, and that's where we are now with Brexit. We got disaster capitalists on one side and disaster socialists on the other.
Yeah.
All rubbing their hands with glee at the sheer chaos that they know is coming because they think they can play to their advantage. Yeah. You've got, on the one hand, you've got the disaster capitalists wanting the country to burn to the ground so they can sell off the ashes. And then you've got the disaster socialists on the other hand, waiting for the country to burn to the ground so they can remodel it in their own image. And that's exactly where we were in Liverpool in the 80s. And this is why I think we've got a bit of unique perspective on this. Because you had a right-wing government.
Is this why we're going mad about it and everyone else is so sanguine? We're like, oh my God, you don't know
what the fuck is the matter with you? We've seen this all before. I mean, literally just what's happened today. We've literally seen that before, except that time there was 4 of them and now there's 7 of them. But we've seen all of this before.
So what happened today? Because I don't know if I'm going to get this video out in the next 2 hours, but...
The Gang of 7.
The Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven.
The Gang of Seven, they left Labour today, which included Luciana Berger, who is one of our 4 Liverpool MPs. She's the MP for Wavertree.
Yep.
And so she's your MP. Have you met her? Have you spoken?
Yeah, a few times.
At the moment, she's really heavily pregnant. I think she's about to pop tomorrow. And she has come under some horrific anti-Semitic abuse online from Labour Party groups on the internet and in person. But the Labour Party groups is interesting because you can only become part of some of these groups if you're a Labour Party member.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's getting this abuse. And I keep telling people, because they go, oh no, whenever you talk about anti-Semitism, they can't help but mention Israel. And I just go, hang on, if I said to someone who was Muslim, hey, what's going on in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, what about Saudi?
They'll be like, that's not to me. Yeah, a random black person. What's going on in Zimbabwe? How very dare you? Why don't you do something about it?
If your answer to any bringing up anti-Semitism is, but Israel, you're being anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. No, you are. David Baddiel cannot open his gob on Twitter about anything with what about Palestinians, Dave? What about Palestinians, Dave? Why did you never say that to me? Why did you never say that to Jeremy Hardy? Why did you never say that to Mark Steele?
Yeah.
Because all you know about David is that he used to share a flat with Frank Skinner and he's Jewish.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Now, why do you bring that up to Baddiel? Why don't I ever get that? If you bring up Israel out the blue to somebody because they're Jewish, you're being anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And you might, criticism of Israel. No, it isn't. But trying to make a Jewish person justify it just because they're Jewish is.
Yeah.
Because you are holding them accountable for the actions of the
crimes
state of Israel.
of their government.
Yeah, not their government. The government of the people who share an ethnic and religious background.
But even making people a part of a crime that their own government's doing.
Yes.
If it's I don't want to be held to account for Brexit.
Of course
I
not.
didn't vote for it. I don't want it. I'm fighting against it. And a lot of people in Israel are fighting against it as well.
Exactly.
And one thing that I learned very quickly while I was travelling around the world is you can't judge people by the actions of their bloody governments. Because a lot of us don't want our governments. We don't like our governments. Not all Americans support Trump.
Asking every American to justify and make excuses for Trump. We're not asking every.
It's tempting.
But what I mean is the thing is, but the thing is, it's no more or less bigoted than asking a random Muslim to justify ISIS.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's no more or less bigoted than that.
I'm completely up with you on that one because it's just you wouldn't do it.
Of course you wouldn't.
You wouldn't think to do it, especially if you're on the left and you're like, well, no, we've got to be,
But the anti-Semitism thing is partly down to. All right, it's partly down to the fact that. All right, it's a binary view of the world, right? Good guys, bad guys. The big bad of the left in Europe, certainly, at least since the 60s, probably beyond that, has been the American military-industrial complex. And you've got to say, this is not an entirely unjustified position. You know what I mean? Because, we're going to be cleaning up after Dick Cheney for decades, right? And we see what happens when the American military-industrial complex goes nuts. It fucks up the world. That's fair enough. But the trouble is, what that means is anything that is on the same side as the American military-industrial complex, like, for example, Israel, which is regarded, rightly or wrongly, as basically almost an American protectorate, that means they're the bad guys too, right? So anything in opposition to Israel must be the good guys, even if it's a bunch of genocidal zealots like Hamas. Right? So that's why Jeremy Corbyn keeps having tea with some fairly appalling people. It's because he's got this binary view of the world and you don't like them, well, they're the bad guys, that makes you good. No. These are terrible, terrible people. Just because they oppose other people you don't like. You know what I mean? The world is not binary. The world is not, Hitler and Stalin didn't exactly get along. Who was the good guy there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's partly that, but also I think it comes down to this. I've been talking about this for the past couple of years, and the reason I'm coming to reject the whole concept of left and right is about the foundational errors of left and right. And part of the reason we're in this trouble with Brexit is because of the foundational error of conservatism, which is they believe they have a monopoly on patriotism. Right? Yeah. They believe that the only way to be patriotic is on their side, and if you oppose them, it's because you hate Britain.
The way to be patriotic is to hate foreigners, or to disregard foreigners.
It's not even that. It's just that we are the country, and if you oppose us, therefore you oppose Britain, right? Yeah. Like they did with Miliband's dad, the man who hated Britain, and then they do that all the time.
After his dead dad.
Yeah.
But tell me about all the horrible things I've said about Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, exactly.
Cry me a river.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The foundational error of the left is that they think they've got a monopoly on ethics. They think that they are the only people who know how to be good. That in order to be good, you have to be left-wing. And also, by extension, being left-wing makes you good. And therefore, by extension, being more left-wing makes you better. And this is why you get the shit that you get if you say anything bad about Jeremy Corbyn, because if he is to the left of you, and he almost certainly is, he is your moral superior.
I don't think
and
that
you can't possibly have
I don't think Jeremy Corbyn's to the left of me.
He does.
His manifesto in 2017 was almost a carbon copy of Ed Miliband's manifesto from 2015.
Yeah.
Now, if that had been my manifesto, I would have brought in universal basic income. I would have had all public transport within cities and rural areas being free. I would have had a complete overhaul of the tax system so that people pay their fair share and companies pay their fair share. Mm-hmm. I would have had the legalisation of all drugs. I've never taken drugs. I don't like drugs, but they exist. Yeah. And we need to get hold of that matter. I am to the left of Corbyn. Corbyn to me, looking at him as a privileged, privately educated millionaire who lives in London, I'm like, I'm sorry, mate, but you're part of the establishment.
Oh, of course he bloody is.
And he keeps voting with the Tories, which is driving me mad.
Yeah. And when he's a socialist from the 50s.
Well, when I say to people, but he keeps voting with the Tories, they're like, oh no, but he has to do that. Don't you understand nuance? And I'm like, no.
No, he doesn't. But the point is, one of the things I think which is sustaining the anti-Semitism in the Labour movement right now is the Labour Party's inability to accept the idea that it could actually be in the wrong on something.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's a philosophical impossibility that we could actually be the bad guys, ever. We can't possibly be the bad guys. We're Labour. That makes us the good guys.
I think that's tied in also
and
with patriotism
anti-Semitism is bad, so we couldn't possibly be doing that.
But the narrative that we were the good guys in the war, so we can't possibly be the bad guys now who are destabilising the Western world, when actually we're the bad guys and we're destabilising the Western world.
Yeah, we're undoing all the good that we did in the war. Yeah.
You know, we just kiboshed a trade deal with China because we sent a ship over there, a ferry with some cannons on it,
and then it hasn't got cannons or an aeroplane.
I know, it's a joke. But the trade deal with Japan, which at the moment, if we stayed in the EU, would be a free trade deal eventually, complete free trade deal for everything. Mm-hmm. We saw the kibosh of that because of things said by Conservative ministers against Japan.
I know.
And the third biggest economy in the world. What it just boggles my mind.
Part of the trouble is we appear to have adopted a landmass 15-year-old as the defence minister. I mean, who the bloody hell is this guy?
Private Pike.
Yeah, Private Pike, but he's not even
Private Pike.
He's not even. But it's just watching this skinny kid trying to puff himself up to look like Mr. Big. You know what I mean? He thinks that, this is how I look like. This is how I gain credibility as a defence secretary. I strut about the place trying to pick a fight with a fucking Chinese. What the hell is the matter with these people? I mean,
they've never lived in the real world, Mitch. This is my problem with a lot of the people in Parliament at the moment. They've never had what you would call a real job.
Hold on, to be fair to Gavin Williamson, he was a fire salesman. He sold fireplaces for a living. So,
oh my God.
He's got
and now he's defence secretary.
He's
in charge of the British Armed Forces. Okay.
But this is just the situation, and one thing which,
honestly,
whatever the hell happens with this, we really do need to look at our whole bloody electoral system as well. It needs rewiring. The whole country needs rewiring.
How did Liverpool dig itself out of this mess then?
Two things. One, the EU, and one, bless him, Michael fucking Heseltine.
Michael Heseltine, yeah.
And I'll say this right now. The man was as Tory as they came, but he actually went, no, we're not going to let this bloody city rot into the sea. Well, there's potential there. He
was one of those fantastic, pragmatic conservatives, is what he was. Yeah. It was like he said, this great city sitting on the Irish Sea. We're just going to let it descend into nothing.
Pragmatists. That's what we need. That's what we need right
absolutely.
now. Pragmatists. We've got idealists. Everyone's an idealist. There's all those crazy notions in their head of the brave new world that they're creating. But
so one of the things I do in the Port of Liverpool is I take care of part of the tunnel system out there. And part of that tunnel system is part of the treatment for the Merseyside environmental pollution avoidance scheme, the MePass. So basically, that was a massive investment on cleaning up the Mersey. Yeah. As you remember when you were kids,
you could smell it.
Was it?
You could smell the Mersey.
Oh my God, the Mersey was disgusting.
Yeah.
There's that joke about if you went fishing, you'd only catch a condom. That was black rib nobbler.
Yeah. So,
Red Dwarf.
so we spent 120 million quid, but it wasn't 120 million quid of central government money. There was Objective 1 funding, there was European environmental protection funding, there was all these different funds, and then the government matched it, but not until Europe had put it on the table.
So
the fact is, if you go for a walk down by the Mersey today, you can thank the EU for that.
I know.
And that started off pretty much all the development.
The regeneration of the city.
Exactly.
I know. I think it was 1.9 billion. The Objective 1 funding.
All the apprenticeships in Liverpool come from Objective 1 funding. I don't know who's going to pay for those apprentices afterwards.
Nothing's in place. Absolutely nothing is in place.
Nothing is in place.
There are numerous outcomes for Liverpool, all bad.
Okay, so let's just talk about the port for a moment then. What is going to be the situation for the port of Liverpool over the next few years if we have a hard Brexit?
I was having a conversation with a colleague today about, it started off with Derek Hatton, we were running a sweep on what accent
As all conversations in Liverpool always start with Derek Hatton.
We were running a sweep on what accent he's going to come back with this time. It's going to be Cockney, Manc or Scouse. So we're running out of a bit of a... We've got a 10
Why is he even relevant? Does he still get on TV these days?
He's just been accepted back into the Labour Party, hasn't it?
Of course he bloody has.
Says everything you need to know.
Bloody has.
So that shyster is back in.
Yeah.
But I was having a conversation with a colleague today, and we had a visit from the DFT in January, and they were asking us how far advanced we were in our Brexit planning.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the first question is, what do you want us to plan for?
Yeah. That's what I can't bloody believe. You've got all these adverts now on the radio for, if your business is going to be affected by Brexit, call this helpline. You haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
It's just
been on the government website to ask,
fuck if we know, mate. Fuck if we know, mate.
Well, if we get a no deal, but we have a deal in the no deal, and you're like, but you got no deal.
You don't know
that
what
means
it
no
is.
deals. So
but nothing's in place. So what are you
deal,
advising people? You don't know what's going to happen. So what are you advising people?
So the DFT said to us, well, what we need to do then is run a study.
Oh, what now?
Yeah, in January.
Now? Yeah.
We're leaving.
6 weeks to go.
We're leaving next month.
Yeah.
I know.
So we'll run a study, and then we'll come up with some measures.
You see, the referendum should have been the last bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The referendum should have been at the end of all the shit that they're trying to do in the next 6 weeks. There should have been, the deal should have, this is the thing about the Good Friday Agreement, and one of the most ironic things about the Good Friday Agreement was a perfect example of a referendum done properly.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, excuse me, that was a pretty spectacular burp, and I'm fairly sure the microphone got it.
It did. And I don't edit these things, so that's in there.
Absolutely, that's
Thanks,
in there.
Mitch.
Trying to drink Diet Coke and speak sense at the same time. But they had the whole thing drafted out, chapter and verse, and they printed out a copy and sent it to every household north and south of the border in the whole of Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So everybody knew exactly
what they were voting
for.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You get the deal in place and then you put it to the people. The referendum, by all means, have a referendum, but the referendum should have been the last part of the process.
Well, this is what happened in Scotland when Scotland, the document that they drew up, the SNP, saying this is the future of Scotland if we leave.
Yeah.
And it was a 100-page or whatever document saying, and that went out to every single Scottish voter.
Exactly.
So they knew exactly what they were going to try and do if they left. We didn't get that. We got a load of nebulous promises on the side of a bus about this great future.
We were asked to vote on an abstract concept.
Yeah.
And the whole thing has been an abstract concept.
I know. I've got this great idea. Why don't we turn our 27 closest trading partners into our closest trading rivals?
Yeah. I know. And then everybody pissing and moaning about it like they're making it difficult for us. Well, how is this their fucking problem? Yeah. And then, because people also start throwing about, we'll negotiate. No, you won't negotiate because you've got nothing to offer.
Yeah.
A negotiation is where both sides have something that the other side wants. Yeah. We have nothing they want.
How can you be bullied from a position of strength?
Yeah.
The very fact that the Brexiteers are now saying, they're bullying us. It's like, well, hang on. If we haven't put ourselves in a position of massive weakness,
yes,
how would they be able to bully us?
They'd
be able to push us around.
Here's another way of looking at it. Theresa May walked into a negotiation where you usually get the stuff you've got that they want and the stuff that they've got that you want. And she went, all this, no. Here's all the stuff that I will not do. And Europe went, okay, in that case, here's what's left and here's what we're prepared to offer you.
Yeah.
No, she says. Yeah. I want more. But
you can't have more.
Took it to Parliament, that which was left, because all that has been put off limits.
Of course.
And it's like, all that's off limits, so there's no dealing on that. Here's what's left.
Keir Starmer's tests of, whether we should Brexit or not for the Labour Party was supposed to be, can we get a deal that's as good as what we've got at the moment?
Yeah. Is that the 6 tests?
Yeah.
Which are now 5 tests.
Yeah, because we can't get something that's better than what we've got at the moment. What we've got at the moment is absolutely phenomenal. We get access to the world's biggest and most successful trading bloc for free.
Yeah.
And, sorry, not for free, free trade. And we get a massive rebate on the money that we're supposed to pay into it.
I know.
And we don't have to be part of Schengen. And we don't have to take the euro. And we can chuck people out the country after 3 months if they've got no visible means of sustaining themselves.
Yes.
But I turned up after getting chucked out the Labour Party for standing against my local Labour MP, who I helped select when, he was selected as our MP back in the 2000s. I actually went to the Labour Party conference in Brighton and turned up with my letter of being chucked out the Labour Party, because it's quite difficult to get chucked out the Labour Party, especially if you're a member of a union. And I turned up and said, listen, I've been chucked out the Labour Party, but I still want to come in to the conference and vote on stuff, even though I haven't bought a ticket. And they told me to fuck off.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Of course.
But that's Labour's policy for the EU. We're going to get a better deal, or as good as a deal, without being a member.
No, because it's dishonest. It's dishonest. They're lying. They have no... They don't... This, Jeremy Corbyn lies. He's a politician and he lies. He has an agenda that he pursues that he knows is not popular, so he lies.
Don't say that about St. Jeremy.
He lies. He's not a saint.
He's the greatest
He's
man
a
ever
politician.
lived.
He tells lies. He tells you what he thinks you want to hear, like every other bloody politician on the face of the planet. And some people that's just like a forbidden thought process.
My problem is I don't lie. I just insult people and call them out on stuff. And I get so much shit on social media because I just go, no, I'm not standing for this. I've got no party line that I have to toe. I've got no lies to tell.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to tell you how it is.
And justify anything to anybody.
Particularly in the shit at the moment.
It's
and
utterly
we've got a government that won't govern, and we've got an opposition who won't oppose. What do you want us to do? Are we just supposed to stay here and just take this and go, oh, no, that's fine. Everything's fine. While the house is on fire.
Yeah.
Just sit there and have a cup of tea.
No.
That's what I got asked in Berlin. I went to, as I was saying before, Berlin recently. The German guy said to me, so, I explained to him what had gone on and my opinion.
Yeah.
And he said, people set the house on fire because they felt a little cold. Yeah, that's the one.
But it's like looking for a new house and going, I'll set my house on fire, and then looking for a new house.
Yeah. It's like I say, it's like jumping out of a plane and then trying to nick yourself a parachute on the way down.
Okay, exactly. So look, we've established that we're absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
How did Liverpool get out of this? How do we get out of this?
We have a vote on the final deal and we don't do it. That is the only way out. You can extend Article 50, that just kicks it all down the road for a few weeks. We'll be in the exact same situation in June.
The mad thing is that the extension of Article 50 is not up to us.
Of course not.
It's up to the 27 remaining EU members.
We can
stop it.
We can just
on our own.
pack it in any minute.
Pack it in at any moment.
And here's the thing, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of reasons not to do this, and one to do it.
What's the one?
The result of the referendum.
Oh,
it was 2016.
You mean the fraud-referendum? The illegally bought fraud-referendum, gerrymandered,
even notwithstanding all
overspent, Russian money, stolen people's data,
even notwithstanding all of that,
breaking the British law.
Yeah.
Which I care about. If you don't care about British law,
without any consequence.
Then,
well, this is another example. Another example of why Jeremy Corbyn is not a bloody saint, because Jeremy Corbyn could be hammering the justice system in this country for there to be some serious ramifications for the fact that that referendum was legally bought. He refuses to do so because he wants Brexit for his own personally selfish reasons.
Why is there no Mueller inquest in the UK into the irregularities that went on into the British referendum?
I know, because everybody who could be in a position to make that happen doesn't want to question the result of the referendum because they want Brexit to go ahead for, again, entirely selfish reasons.
And let's just put this into perspective. Even the most loony, mad-eyed Republicans in America who are just on the absolute fringes and just hate everyone and want to stop abortion and want to have a death penalty and everyone to have a gun at birth, they still support the fact that the rule of law says they have to look into any criminal activity that went into the 2016 election in America. We don't have that over here, even on the left.
Because Jeremy Corbyn is dishonest. And Jeremy Corbyn will not press for this inquiry because he is benefiting from that corruption. And turning a blind eye to corruption because you stand to benefit from that corruption is corruption. He's corrupt. By allowing this to stand, he is corrupting himself. Take that however you want. If something is stolen,
well, I think you've completely on the money.
If something is stolen and you know it's stolen and you choose to keep it, then you are breaking the law by receiving stolen goods, right?
That's what this is, isn't it? Receiving stolen goods.
This result is receiving stolen goods. He knows that result was fraudulent, but even notwithstanding the fact that it was a fraudulently obtained result, right? Even if we say, yeah, fine, it was fair and square, right?
It wasn't.
It is the only reason to do this. And there are hundreds and hundreds of really pressing reasons not to.
Should we go through some of the reasons not to do this? Can we go to the fact that $1 trillion of assets have already been taken out of the UK and put into Frankfurt and Dublin and Paris? We've got foreign direct investment is down 92%. We're seeing Nissan leaving. We're seeing
Honda
out.
Ford
We're
out.
hearing rumours about SmithKline Beecham, GlaxoSmithKline and
Ford are out.
And AstraZeneca. GlaxoSmithKline and AstraZeneca together make up about 2.5% of our entire export GDP of the country. Two companies. When I say $1 trillion, like, hey, $1 trillion, yeah, that's nothing. The GDP, just to put that into perspective, the GDP of the United Kingdom is 2.6 trillion.
So that's half of it is gone already.
Well, no, it's assets. We make money on the assets and then we tax that money.
Yeah.
Those assets are gone.
Yeah.
Those people who handle those assets have now moved jobs, or their jobs have gone.
Yeah.
So we're not getting the tax that they would pay on their earnings from doing those jobs, high-paid jobs, so they'd be taxed at 40%.
So basically, your balance of payments is now knackered because what you're paying out, you're not getting paid in.
Yeah.
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 So we keep paying out.
Yeah.
And less comes in.
Yeah.
And at some point, that whole thing
It's going to smash.
It's going to crash.
We're going to see people who owe the bank £100,000 for their house, which they can't pay off because they've lost their job, but they're in negative equity.
Yeah.
This is all going to happen. We've been saying on the Free Blokes for 6 months now about the effect that's going to have on industry, on the agri-foods industry. There's 3.5 million people involved employed in the agri-foods industry in the UK. They don't stand a chance if you can't get ingredients in, seeds.
No.
You know, I was chatting with Kieran, Kieran the van driver, chatting with him on the train on the way into Liverpool, and he's saying, it was news to Conservative ministers that we need seeds in order to grow things.
Well, in fairness, it was news to Dominic Raab that we're a fucking island. So,
So what other sort of reasons to not do this are there?
Well, I mean, the pressing ones are economic, but there's also social.
Yeah.
There's, I think, just, if you want to be sort of just waffly and new agey about it, the fact that it's lovely, the fact it's only now dawning on all the expats on the Costa del Bingo that freedom of movement means them as well.
It goes two ways.
Yeah, exactly, it's only belated. But the trouble is, they think the freedom of movement means foreigners. It's just like, well, mate, the minute you're out of this country, you're a foreigner. But
not an expat, you mean immigrants.
The British people are incapable of considering themselves foreigners wherever they are. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm in India surrounded by foreigners. No, you're in somebody else's country, mate. But this is it again.
Didn't there was a grandmother thing that went on online last year. She was complaining about all the Spanish people in the Spanish resort that she was staying at in Spain.
Yeah, I know, but that's a classic. But then, so much of this is tied up with British or specifically English exceptionalism. You know what I mean? That there's whole swathes of our society just cannot accept the fact that it's not our world anymore. Yeah. I mean, it never really was, but it just patently is not, and they just can't accept that. I mean, this is part of the whole thing. I mean, we got Andrew fucking Bridges saying, well, we can just get Irish passports there. The right wing in this country doesn't really accept Ireland as a foreign country yet. Yeah. We regard them as
very true.
Very true. We regard them as like this, almost like the prodigal son, this sort of troublesome infant that's off having a bloody tantrum and will eventually see sense and come crying home. It's like, no, it's been 100 years. They're not coming back. And
one of the things was when Jason and I went over to Ireland a few months ago, we actually chatted to one of the guys who helped draft the Good Friday Agreement.
Yeah.
It was really interesting, and I learnt a lot that I didn't actually know about Irish history, and I had studied some of it actually in university. But one thing that really struck me was that the Irish population still hasn't recovered
from the famine,
from the potato famine of the 1840s.
I know.
And we did that.
Yeah, that was us.
I'm saying we, I'm of Irish descent, so I'm like, I feel a bit conflated.
I'm only 1/8 Irish, which is not Irish at all for a Scots. But that's
I feel a bit like Blade, he's a bit of a vampire, but he's not, do you know what I mean? But oh my God!
As it turns out,
Irish
foreigner.
Irish daywalker.
I could get an Irish passport.
You could get an Irish passport?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Lucky bugger.
Because I'd have one by now, Christ.
I'd have one.
And my kids are kind of half German, so I mean there is some hope for them.
I was a bit conflicted as a British ex-serviceman.
Yeah.
I was a bit conflicted getting an Irish passport, but the longer it's gone on, I was over watching the rugby in Dublin just a couple of weeks ago, and I realised I've had the English beaten out of me by this process. Absolutely beaten out.
That's a good way of putting it, because I just shudder now. I just really do. I see the English flag and I'm like, oh no.
But this whole thing now that somehow, we can't back out now, it would be embarrassing.
Like nothing so far has been embarrassing.
Have you not noticed that we are the literal laughing stock of the world? And I mean this. You've got the Colberts and the Trevor Noahs, and they're all doing routines about how stupid Britain is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you've got all the satirists of the world are dining out on us right now. Because this is the most grotesque act of national self-mutilation in recent history.
We're turning one of the most successful economies in the world to become the least competitive advanced economy on the planet. That's the plan. That's actually the plan that we're going through.
And we're talking about, this.
And everyone's like, oh, but it'd be great because. And they can't give me a reason.
No,
and
not one.
The fact that I've travelled to all these places that they keep, they go, oh, what about this country? And I'm like, no, I've been there, and it's a bit shit, and they haven't got much money, and the infrastructure's really bad. And if you turn up on a cargo ship, they'll keep you waiting 2 weeks outside the port because they need enough bribery to come in. And it's like that's not the way that Britain should work.
This is the first of the first world nations.
Yeah.
We are the first of the first world nations, and we're talking about stockpiling body bags.
Medicine.
It's shameful. It's shameful.
I was thinking of a cool way to segue into a song, but now you've just said body bags. I'm like, do you have a song for us?
Oh my anger.
Do you want to move out and we can
see what we can do
to sing a song?
Own your shit, you whiny Brexit arseholes, own your shit. Look at what you've done, it's your Brexit. As you'll have to remind us, you own it. After all you won, why are you still calling us Ramonas when it's you that's moaning now? Oh, but how you've blown it, own your shit. Who was it? Buggered up the country? Who was it? Wrote the lies upon the bus? Who was it? Slept through the negotiations? Here's a clue. Wasn't bloody us. Now we cruelly refuse to fix it for you. Boo-hoo-hoo, it's just not fair. Grow a pair, deal with it, own your shit. This song is not addressed to everyone who voted leave. They're all decent people sticking up for the things that they believe. This song goes out to the ringleaders, you already know their names. They took the credit, took the piss, but they won't take the blame. Own your shit, own your shit, you sad deluded rangers, own your shit. Acknowledge what you did, it was you, not the hero remainers. Who the hell do you think you're trying to kid? If you're not brave enough to fix the problem, out the way and let us try. Cheery bye, useless gits, own your shit. And take Brexit, we're done with it, own your shit. That's the one. There you go. Good. Thanks for bringing that out, man. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming.
Oh, mate.
Great speaking to you. Mitch
Yes,
Ben. Thank
mate,
you for being
thank
one of the
you.
three
Thank
blokes.
Yes.
Blue coat boys everywhere.
I know. It's weird, isn't
We
it?
went to the same school, but like 10 years apart, because
Yes.
I'm not that old.
No, I am that old.
But I'm just a social climber. My
Yeah.
daughter is there.
Yeah, they didn't have girls there in my day. There you go.
Some things get
We
better.
can
There
tell.
wasn't the one. Yeah. this man can only possibly be the product of an all boys education. Yeah. But it's a grammar school, it's not a public school.
It's not a public school.
It just
That's the
thinks it's a
important
public
thing.
school.
That's the
It just,
important thing.
it just acts like a public
You
school.
don't pay for it. But
The building kind of looks like it might be. It's this sort of scary ass old clock tower.
it's a bit
Hogwarts.
It's
It's totally Hogwarts. I went past it on the train the other day and went, that looks like somewhere you get sent in a Roald Dahl book for being bad.
Hey, don't knock it, it's cheap.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't cost us anything. Unlike Eton, which has cost us the country,
Oh, yes.
our economy,
Was that David
and our
Quant?
dignity.
David Quant at the other side said Britain has an eating disorder. Oh, how's it taken 200 years to come up with that joke? Nice one, Quantic.
Anyway, thanks for coming on, the three blokes. And,
Resist.
Yeah.
Resist.